Hey, do you remember the Chinese spy balloon? Let's take a closer look at the Maine Secretary of State. Donald Trump fumbles the ball, and we're about to find out a little bit more about Doe 36. Stay tuned, everybody. For the best meat you have ever eaten in your life, go to samsbutchershop.com. Enter the coupon code TTT when you check out for a 10% discount. Hello, everybody. Trailer Trash Tim. Thank you so much for joining me today on this Tuesday. It's great to have you with me. I'm glad you are here. I hope you had a happy new year. And let's get things rolling. A lot to talk about. No more late news with Marina and Benita. Just the situation there. Just keep them in your thoughts and prayers, and we would appreciate that very much. But there's a lot I want to talk about, and I'm sure that you all remember a few months ago we got a little visit from the old Chinese spy balloon. Everybody remember that? Well, some more information has come out about the Chinese spy balloon that I want to talk about for just a moment, but you may recall a little backstory, of course. I forget what month it was. It may be in the story here, but earlier last year, in 2023, there was a Chinese spy balloon that apparently went off course, rather inadvertently or not inadvertently. Well, we're just not sure, but all we know is the thing got loose in Alaska and made its way across the entire continental United States. I think it entered back in up around the Dakotas or Montana or something like that, and it just stayed there in our airspace with President Do-Nothing just sitting on his hands with his thumb up, as you know what, doing nothing while this Chinese spy balloon, or was it just a weather balloon, just stayed in our airspace. And finally, when it left landmass over the coast, it got off the coast of South Carolina, finally somebody decided, well, I guess we ought to do something about it. Well, it's about time. Thanks for showing up to the party, late though you are. But this happened in 2023, and this is the headline. Believe it or not, this appeared in NBC News. The headline reads, U.S. intelligence officials determined the Chinese spy balloon used a U.S. internet provider to communicate. You got that? So NBC News, to their credit, I must say, calls this a spy balloon. An American intelligence assessment found that the balloon used a commercially available U.S. network to communicate, primarily for navigation. U.S. officials say, well, it's just for navigation, it's nothing more than that, so nothing to worry about. U.S. intelligence officials, I read that, they used an American internet service provider to communicate. The balloon connected to a U.S.-based company, according to the assessment, to send and receive communications from China, primarily related to its navigation. Officials familiar with the assessment said it found that the connection allowed the balloon to send burst transmissions or high-bandwidth collections of data over short periods of time. And the story just goes on and on. But the sum of the story is that they were using a U.S. internet company to communicate from the Chinese government with this spy balloon. But don't you understand, of course, there's nothing to be afraid of because it was just for navigation purposes, right? There was nothing else that was done with the spy balloon because Lord knows spy balloons don't do anything. They don't actually spy on anything, right? They're just called spy balloons. Need I remind you, ladies and gentlemen, that China, unlike Russia, is hostile toward the United States in terms of their governance. China is a communist nation. The United States is not supposed to be a communist nation. We are not philosophical bedfellows. Of course, we're not supposed to be philosophical bedfellows or political bedfellows, of course. There's no telling how many U.S. politicians the Chinese government has purchased. Lord knows they're buying our land as well as our politicians. But we learn now that this spy balloon was floating over U.S. airspace, not harmlessly, ladies and gentlemen. This spy balloon was floating over U.S. airspace for days, not only communicating with the government of China, but using a U.S.-based internet provider to communicate. I mean, can you believe this? How outrageous is this? Talk about your party lines, literally. And of course, the National Security Council they declined to comment on this. Well, of course you do. Of course you decline to comment. You got nothing to say. Li Pingyu, a spokesman for the Chinese embassy in Washington, said it was just a weather balloon that accidentally drifted into American airspace. As we had made it clear before, the airship used for meteorological research unintentionally drifted into the U.S. because of the westerlies and its limited self-steering capability. The facts are clear. Yeah, Li Pingyu, the facts are clear. They're clear to me, and the facts are not what you say they are as far as I'm concerned, but I just got a little bit of, little horse sense about this thing. You don't let another nation's aircraft, no matter what it is, just run loose in your airspace, for heaven's sakes. I get it. This wasn't an F-15. This wasn't a stealth bomber. But can you believe that in the year 2023, in the United States of America, we were being spied on from a hostile nation by a cotton-picking balloon? I mean, that doesn't exactly instill confidence in me, does it you, if you're an American watching me? Can you imagine if had it been a Chinese fighter jet, and you've only got seconds to respond to it? But it is an outrage to me that for days a balloon from China sailed over the skies of the United States, and Joe Biden, the clueless incompetent in the White House, did nothing. He could have done something. I mean, if Lord Obama, who lives down the street, were he loyal to America, he could have just called Joe and said, hey, buddy, you need to do something about this. But, of course, he's fine with it. He wouldn't have done anything either. Unbelievable. All right, let me move on to Sheena Bellows. I covered Sheena Bellows last week. If you don't remember, Sheena Bellows is the Secretary of State for the state of Maine. And Sheena Bellows last week just unilaterally, on her own authority, decided to remove Donald Trump's name from the Maine ballot in the upcoming elections this year, thank the Lord. So he's been removed from the ballot in Colorado, and now he's been removed from the ballot in Maine. And it's just this one person, Sheena Bellows, just acting on her own, who just decides, you know what, I don't think he's going to be on our ballot. Can you believe that? Just one person in the state of Maine, this Marxist Democrat, which is a redundant term, she just unilaterally decides, I don't think he's going to be on the ballot, so I'm going to take him off. Sheena Bellows, I have discovered, was not elected by the people of Maine. Sheena Bellows, I guess it's just how they run things up there, she was elected by the Maine legislature. So the people didn't elect her. Maybe they would have, I don't know. But she was just elected to the position by the Maine legislature. But she's back in the news because Sheena Bellows has admitted that a group of ACLU and SPLC alumni are working to remove Trump from more ballots. The ACLU is, of course, the American Civil Liberties Union, and the SPLC is the good old Southern Poverty Law Center. This story comes from Revolver News. If you want to talk about insurrection, Stay with me now. Just look at what the left is doing with their attempts to keep President Trump off the ballot, trying to disenfranchise tens of millions of Americans who support him and his America First movement. Doesn't it seem more outrageous that strolling through the U.S. Capitol, doesn't that seem more outrageous than strolling through the U.S. Capitol chatting with police officers, a reference to the J6 people? The latest Marxist to join the cause to steal the vote again is Maine Secretary of State Sheena Bellows, who wasn't elected by the people but instead by the state legislature. She's decided, based on her own personal feelings, that's what Democrats are all about, not facts, but feelings, my feelings. She's decided that President Trump is not legally allowed to be on Maine's ballot. She claims, without any evidence whatsoever, that Trump incited an insurrection and decided that makes him ineligible to be on the ballot. However, there's more to the story, as Ms. Bellows admitted in a recent interview. I've got her quote right here. Hang with me here. According to her, there is a cabal of former SPLC and ACLU alumni leading the charge to remove Trump from ballots all over the country. The SPLC, the Southern Poverty Law Center, and the American Civil Liberties Union are two of the most radical left-wing groups in this country, ladies and gentlemen. They're not guided by justice, but are driven by an irrational hatred and obsession with President Trump. Sheena wants you to believe that this is a personal decision made from a place of morals and patriotism. Now, this is what she said, and I quote, "Voter suppression is something that, when we started our careers at the ACLU and SPLC fighting back against systematic structural voter suppression targeting specifically black and brown voters, it's rooted in white supremacy." To which I say, bull. Folks, can I just clarify something for everybody? There is no such thing in the United States of America as voter suppression. Hey, maybe there should be, but there ain't. There ain't nobody being disenfranchised. There ain't nobody being kept from voting in America. For the love of Pete, we're bending over backwards to accommodate every Tom, Dick, and Harry so they can vote, regardless of their skin color. You can vote by mail-in ballot. You can vote whatever day you want to vote. You can show up at the polls if you want. I mean, any way you want to do it, just come on in, give us your vote. There is no voter suppression. Anybody that wants to vote can vote. It's the Republicans, some of the Republicans, who are calling for voter ID, as they should. That's just a no-brainer. But when we say, we need something like, we need voter ID, it's Marxists like Sheena Bellows who call that voter suppression. It's not voter suppression just because you want somebody to present their ID, to prove that they're an American citizen, for heaven's sakes. Oh, my Lord in heaven. This is not voter suppression. She wants you to believe that we're all white supremacists and we're all trying to keep black people and brown people from voting. It is utter nonsense. The only problem that I see at some polling locations is you may have to wait in line, although I never have to wait in line. You go right in and step right up. It's kind of sad, really. But if you have to wait in line to vote, so what? That's not suppression. I would love to ask Ms. Bellows, the little Marxist in Maine, will you please, ma'am, cite for me one example, just one, mind you, of voter suppression? And I'll wait for your response. And she will not be able to cite any evidence whatsoever, and that is because there is none. There is no voter suppression in the United States. We've got dead people voting in the United States, for heaven's sakes. We have people voting that are illegal aliens in the United States. We have people voting that have no business voting in the United States, and people like Sheena Bellows have the gall to accuse us of being white supremacist and trying to keep black and brown people from voting. This is classic Democrat activity. This is exactly what they do. When they disagree with you about anything, on any issue, if you disagree with a Democrat, then you've got to be a racist. This is just classic. This is exactly how they roll, ladies and gentlemen. If you disagree with a Democrat, you're a racist. That's how it is. You're trying to keep down the black man. You're trying to suppress the black vote. And all I'm saying is, look, you can vote all day long, but you got to present a photo ID and prove you're a citizen. That's not too much to ask. I don't care what your skin color is. Give me a break, Sheena Bellows, you little Marxist. Oh, this woman, she is a piece of work. There's a guy that tweeted. His name is Kanakoa the Great. And this is what he said on Twitter. Let me see if I can find. He said, Democrat Sheena Bellows explains that she personally... no, I'm just being redundant. He just retweeted what I just told you about, so I would just be repeating myself. But anyway, enough of this little Marxist. You people in Maine, you need to get rid of this woman. I'm telling you the truth. She is an absolute disgrace. Let me move on. I've got some troubling news from... Oh, Lord, I think I just lost my internet. No, I didn't. Here it is. There is it's not a tweet because it wasn't on Twitter, I don't think. I suppose it was on Truth Social. Is Truth Social the Trump social media? I believe it is. Donald Trump posted on Truth Social on the 30th of December, a couple of days ago. And this is a bothersome tweet to me. I have to tell you, Donald Trump to me has always been problematic. What I like about Donald Trump is the fact that he is an American first kind of a guy. I don't doubt his love of country. I believe Donald Trump loves his country, and I don't believe he would do anything to intentionally harm our country. That's one thing that he's got going for him. Another thing that I like about Trump is he did not start any wars when he was president. He didn't get us involved in any shooting wars, which is almost, in my lifetime, unprecedented. Almost every president we've had got us into a war. It was a nice change of pace to have a president that for 4 years didn't get us in a war. That alone, as I maintain, was worth the price of admission. Trump is problematic for me in many other areas, particularly fiscal areas of fiscal policy. He's not the perfect candidate. I frankly would probably rather have Vivek Ramaswamy. But of course, if it's between Trump and Biden, there's no contest. Of course, it's a no-brainer. I don't hate Donald Trump. I don't have Trump derangement syndrome. Where I think he's right, I'll say so. Where I think he's wrong, I'll say so. But I don't hate him. I haven't lost my mind. I'm not frothing at the mouth about it. I wish I could sit down with him and try and talk with him sensibly about a few things. But this post that he made is really problematic for me, and I want to share with you what he said. This is with regard to the FBI, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, and I quote, "The FBI headquarters should not be moved to a faraway location, but should stay right where it is in a new and spectacular building, in the best location in our now crime-ridden and filthy dirty, graffiti-scarred capital. They should be involved in bringing back D.C., not running away from it, especially the violent crime. An important part of my platform for president is to bring back, restore, and rebuild Washington, D.C. into the crown jewel of our nation. We will make it crime-free and great again. The FBI should not be fleeing for safer yet much less convenient environs. It should make where they are now the safest place on earth. Don't move the FBI," unquote. Wow. That is a problematic post for me. Donald Trump, there are people who are calling for the FBI to be moved out of Washington. I don't favor that either. I have stated in a video I did a few months ago what I believe should be done with the FBI, and it's simply this: shut it the hell down. Get rid of it. It is unbelievable to me that Donald Trump, who has been accused of insurrection on J6, and now we know, we have the evidence, we have the proof, that the FBI was involved with the activities of January the 6th. They helped to facilitate some of the shenanigans that happened that day. And here's Trump defending them. Don, buddy, wake up. Are you kidding me right now? The FBI should not be moved out of Washington. The FBI should be dissolved. We don't need the FBI. We got plenty of police power in this nation already. We don't need an FBI. It's already been proven that it is a rogue agency run by rogue individuals. Hello, Christopher Wray and everybody else on the 7th floor. So many Americans say, well, it's not the rank and file agents. It's just the people on the 7th floor, Christopher Wray and the people in the administration, to which I say baloney. We don't have any need of the FBI, ladies and gentlemen. We've got plenty of police. We've got local police. We've got state police. We just don't need any more. We've got enough police. We've got federal marshals. We are over-policed. And look at what it's gotten us. We are crime-ridden. Look at the way things are right now. The FBI is in Washington, D.C., and Washington, D.C. is a cesspool of crime, both inside and outside the Capitol. And what the hell is the FBI doing about it? One might argue it's not their jurisdiction, but the point is they're there, and Trump just wants to basically bulldoze their building and build a big, beautiful building. Dude, come on, man! At what expense, Trump? Who gets to pay for this building? Do you ever think about this? It's hard for me at times to believe this guy has been so successful in business, and he is, when it comes to governance, he is a wild spender. Did you know he spent more money than Obama did? It's true. You would think that Trump would understand budgets and fiscal matters a little bit more than he does. I don't know if it's just a lack of will. But, as I posted on my video yesterday, I think I may have left this out. I don't recall whether I said this or not, that President Tim would oversee a balanced budget. We would balance our budget. We would live within our means. Trump would not run the Trump organization the way that he would run the federal government. I'll tell you that right now. If he did, he wouldn't be a billionaire and he would be bankrupt, as we are, to the tune of $33 trillion. So I would say to Donald Trump, if I could have his ear for a minute, buddy, you need to rethink this. Not only do we not need a new FBI building, we don't need an FBI, period. That's what you need to be saying. Especially since these people are your sworn enemy. I mean, it's unbelievable to me. These people hate Donald Trump, and here he wants to build them new digs? Really? Come on, man. I gotta get to this. Let me... This is... All right, here we go. The headline in the Gateway Pundit reads thusly: Woke UK, you people in the United Kingdom, listen up. Woke UK Methodist Church issues, quote, inclusive language guide, unquote, discourages use of hurtful terms like husband and wife. Bear with me, I'm speechless. I'm momentarily speechless. But if you're a Methodist in the United Kingdom, you can't call your wife anymore, or your husband, because, we don't want to offend anybody. The Methodist Church of Great Britain released a new woke inclusive language guide to police language for its ministers and those who practice the faith. The guide advises Methodists to avoid using hurtful gendered terms such as husband and wife. We just lost our minds. The guide shares, quote, as Christians, yeah, you're Christians and I'm a three-legged ballerina. As Christians, we need to have the courage for conversations that can sometimes be difficult, to recognize that we sometimes exclude people. Well, we don't want to do that. To listen with humility, to repent of any hurtful language, and to take care with how we listen and what we say aright in the Spirit of Christ. Bullshit. There is an infinite variety in the way that God's creation is expressed in human life. This is worth bearing in mind as we speak and write. Terminology such as husband and wife may sound inoffensive, but it makes assumptions about a family or personal life that is not the reality for many people. The words parent, partner, and child are a good place to start. Carer is also a neutral, yet understandable way to refer to the primary carer of a child, who may or may not be their parent. In sections addressing gender identity, the guide claims that using a person's chosen pronouns is helpful as it honors their identity. Language such as brothers and sisters, while intended to be inclusive and friendly, doesn't take into account our non-binary friends. Oh my ever-loving Lord in heaven, have we lost our cotton-picking minds? These people are utter lunatics. If you're listening to me in the United Kingdom and you're in the Methodist Church, I got a little tip for you. Find the exit, okay? Folks, I am so done with this touchy-feely crap where you can't say anything anymore without being worried about being offensive to somebody. This is not just in the UK, by the way. This story is about the Methodist Church in the UK, but they act the same way in America and it probably all over the West. You can't call husbands, are you listening? You can't call your wife anymore because you're being offensive, don't you know? And you women, quit calling the man you live with that you wear his ring your husband. You can't do that anymore. Don't want to call your kids. You're not their parent. You're just their carer. Hey, United Methodist Church of the UK, step off and quit calling yourself Christians. You ain't. Sorry, but you ain't. This is not Christian doctrine anywhere. This is sheer lunacy. We have lost our minds. Oh, Lord in heaven. All right, one more thing and I got to go. This appeared in the Gateway Pundit. This is supposed to happen today, actually. Do you know who Doe 36 is? Anybody? You probably know about Jeffrey Epstein, who committed suicide with a shot in the back of the head. He actually wasn't shot. He hung himself. Jeffrey Epstein, if you don't know, was a very wealthy man. I believe he was a billionaire, and he owned and operated a place called Epstein Island. And he would jet the rich and famous to his island where they would meet up with underage girls for promiscuous activity, shall we say. We know that people such as Bill Gates went to Epstein Island. We suspected other people went to Epstein Island. The list is long. You can look it up on the internet. We've suspected that one of the persons that went to Epstein Island was a man by the name of Bill Slick Willie Clinton. And now we know that he is going to be revealed in these Epstein court documents as, quote, Doe 36, unquote. Former President Bill Clinton will be named in the Jeffrey Epstein court documents set to be unsealed this coming week. Bill Clinton was good friends with Epstein and traveled on his private jet dubbed the Lolita Express over 24 times, and according to pilot logs, underage teenagers were on the flight with Clinton. Can you believe it? Bill Clinton, this sexual deviant who ruled over us for 8 years. Doe 36, there you have it. That's all I can stomach for one day. Hey, give me your comments down below about what we talked about today. I hope your new year is going really well. Give me a thumbs up for this video if you would. I would really appreciate it. If you have not yet subscribed to the Triple T channel, I invite you to do so. Thank you so much for joining me today. Everybody take care, and I'll see you soon. Oh, tomorrow, Weird Wednesday. Don't want to miss that.